You said something also interesting, that you created job alerts. What do you mean by that?
This job alert proved to be a very impactful way where I got an interview from AT&T.
And this is something my recruiter has said, like they a lot of ATS sort by oldest to newest, so first few people will get picked ideally first.
And then came April month where I saw your video with Akhil Mehta. It completely transformed my job search journey. And after that, I gave around 20 to 30 interviews after that till November, just through that particular technique which Phil showed.
Wow. And so can you share like what exactly would you send as a messages, and this is how you got 20 plus interviews?
Yes, and in the total, I got 30 interviews, and out of that 30 interviews, I interviewed 10 at Apple and 20 in other different companies. Yes, all of them through this method.
Before you watch this, I want to quickly say that most people underutilize LinkedIn. They don't understand the power of LinkedIn and how to leverage LinkedIn to get jobs. I have built an ultimate course. It's going to teach you everything from optimizing your profile, getting sourced by a recruiter on LinkedIn. There are live examples, and also how to use LinkedIn and leverage LinkedIn to create the job opportunity that didn't even exist. You didn't even know that it existed. Let me give you a quick sneak peek, and I will tell you that more than 350 students have joined this course and they are loving it. And you can see everything from setting your profile, networking, search techniques, job hunting technique, and like live examples where I'm actually reaching out to people and doing cold networking, etc. You'll also get free plugin, premium plugin for H1B and OPT and all of that. So I highly recommend you check out. Link will be in the description. Thank you, Harshit, for doing this. I am super excited. First of all, thank you for like sending me that kind email and wanting to share with our audience and our community of like all the fancy job hunting tips that you have. Even some of them I was surprised when you said it, so I'm excited for people to hear it. But before we get started, let's do like a quick intro. Where are you from? What do you do right now? And when did you come to United States and fun stuff?
So thank you, Yudi, for having me here. So my name is Harshit Modi. I am a telecommunication professional right now in United States. I came to United States in 2021, and currently I'm working as an RF engineer at Underline, and I'm currently residing in Austin, Texas.
First of all, can you like, I am very naive in this industry. I have no idea what does RF engineer even means. So like, if you have to explain like a 5-year old, how would you explain this? Like, what do you do? Like, what is your role? Like, what does this industry does?
So, RF engineering is basically a part of electrical engineering where it involves those antenna designs are involved in that, and the underground fibers which are built. It involves all these designs of antennas and fiber lines.
Got it. Okay. So do you mean like you work with like 4Gs and 5Gs?
Yes, I'm working on the 5G technology right now. So there
Hmm.
are two particular frequency bands that would be a very high level. So it's like a second FR2 band which I'm working on right now. So it radiates a signal at 60 gigahertz. So it gives the throughputs, like it gives the speed as Wi-Fi speeds, as we can say, to be very simple in my language. So it's like it
Ah.
gives 10 Gbps speed right now. So
I see. So you are the one like who would be like saying like now our like like Airtel has 5G or Geo has 5G or like T-Mobile and those like 5G Lite. What does 5G LTE even mean?
it's just like a technology. LTE means long term evolution. It's actually the 4G, but it's the LTE named as LTE right now. So
Hmm.
4G was there, LTE came, and then again LTE advanced technology came. So these are the three technologies which evolved, and after LTE advanced, 5G came.
Nice. Okay, great. Let's start with timelines. You did your masters, and uh, when did you have any internship during your masters?
Yes, I did have an internship. I did internship at AT&T in summer 2022. So
Hmm.
I was working as a network engineer in AT&T, and I completed my masters in May 2023. So it was a very bad luck that it didn't changed into the full-time job.
Full time.
So I
Yeah.
had to go to the hard way in the applications.
Mm.
So yeah, that's how my journey went from in the during the masters.
Got it. I want to still get into the internship before we get into the hard part of it. I know it didn't like convert into full time. How did you have any work experience back in India or no?
No, I didn't have any prior experience. I was a complete fresher when I came to United States in this
Hmm.
particular field, telecommunications field. So my approach during the internship was simple, was very standardized, like go on the career site, apply for the jobs. But what I did then to go an extra mile was there were particular companies which have the job alerts points. So that particular factor I kept on for AT&T, and the opening was not coming. But I knew
Hmm.
that if I kept the job alert on, I will get the notification one way or the other. So
Hmm.
till 4 months from September till December, I had no updates. And in January, out of the blue, I have a habit to see my emails at night. So I was just having that particular routine in the night, and that particular job alert popped up in the email. So I got to know about the opening of internship. I straight away applied for that, but I had no hopes because it was a very big company, and I just applied randomly. But this job alert proved to be a very impactful way where I got an interview from AT&T 2 weeks later on after I applied for this particular job. So they just conducted one round of interview, but that one round of interview was 1.5 hours. So they covered everything technical, the my master's journey till now for the first semester, and the behavioral questions. So these are the
Hmm.
particular flow which went during my internship job search.
What you're gonna watch is an amazing story, but before you watch that, I just want to quickly say that all of these story, I compile the key insights from these stories and all the podcasts that I do, and I put this in my free exclusive newsletter community. Every week, more than 16,000 people receive my newsletter, and they love it. And here are some of the examples you can see. This was a podcast on George Mason universities, and you can see how to network and 10% cold emailing, powerful LinkedIn techniques, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in becoming part of this exclusive newsletter community, absolutely free. Link is in the description, or you can go to udj.com/newsletter. For people who don't know, AT&T is like almost like Airtel, Geo, kind of like big in United States. So it's a big deal, especially you didn't have any work experience, and so getting it was a big deal for you. Uh, you said it was your first semester, and you said something timeline wise. You landed in August, and you started applying in September. Is
Yes,
that correct?
yes,
Yeah. Okay. Which means you have to have your profile also ready to start applying.
yes.
What are the things that you worked on in profile?
So, firstly, my target was to build a good resume where,
Hmm.
and I also had to keep in mind that I am a fresher in this particular field. So, all those particular skill set which was required for that particular job or in the network engineering part, because I was not
Hmm.
aware of the cellular engineering that much at that time. So, these particular factors I kept in mind, and the traditional way of applying the job. So, these two factors I had kept in mind before starting my internship job search. So I firstly, my step one was to create a good resume. After that, I started applying through LinkedIn, and eventually I stopped through LinkedIn. So but then I started through LinkedIn. I then had gone to these particular 10 companies which I targeted in particular. One of them was AT&T, and other companies were like many other telecommunication companies which are being in this in the United States. So these are the companies which I targeted, but out of that I had much any luck. So that's why I was completely disheartened after during that job search in internship during that first semester. And after the semester got over, the vacation started, and during that vacation there was a big breakthrough for me. So
Mm, love it. Okay. So first thing you worked on is your resume, and I know we're gonna cover the resume in a little later part, but you finalized your resume. Then you did something also interesting. You had a list of target companies.
Yes.
Where did you find these companies? Like, what did you Google it? Like, did you just say like, "Hey, 10 best uh, telecom company"? Like, what was how was the process? How did you strategize that these are the companies I want to work for?
So before coming to United States, I had that particular list ready with me, and it was
So before coming to
yes.
United States, that is amazing. Cool.
When I came here, I was just focusing on those particular 10 companies when I started my job search, and then eventually I just expanded my job search more in
Mm.
all the different states, because of course the relocation is required for internships. So yeah, so that's how I approach in the beginning.
Hmm. And you were in NJIT, so AT&T was that local or was that somewhere else?
So AT&T was actually in New Jersey as well. So there are various labs of AT&T. One of the labs is in New Jersey. So
Hmm.
in the New Jersey, my internship was based, so I didn't have to relocate. So that was the best part of it.
Well, I mean, relocate for you, like, I mean, new NJIT is not like in the heart of New Jersey, right? So you still had to like commute
Yes,
30
I had to
minutes, 40
commute.
minutes.
Yeah, I had to commute for 1 hour through the train. It was in South
Yeah.
Jersey. Yes.
Right, right. Yeah, got it. So you had this list of 10 companies, you applied, you started applying. First, you used LinkedIn, you stopped using LinkedIn, and then AT&T happened. You said something also interesting that you created job alerts. What do you mean by that?
So on the career sides, there are various companies where the job alert button is there in that particular career sites.
Here is the AT&T website,
Yes.
and by the way, I don't recommend AT&T because it's very expensive. I would recommend Mint Mobile because it's cheaper, and link is in the description. It's not sponsored, but it is super cheap. I also use Mint
Yes.
Mobile. What do you use, Harshit?
I use right now T-Mobile.
Mint Mobile got by T-Mobile, so
Yeah.
same thing. Okay, so we are here. Every website has something called careers. You go to careers,
Scroll
and
to the
then
bottom.
scroll to the bottom, and then you right here. So you would
Yes.
fill out this.
So here you mention your email, your desired job role, and the location
Hmm.
which you want to work, where you want to work. So the I kept the preferred location as New Jersey, and
Yeah.
the job role as network engineer, and the email as my personal
Hmm.
email ID. So this is
Right.
how I had gone and set the job alert in September,
Okay.
and I did that preparation beforehand. And then after 4 months, this job alert came to use,
Hmm.
and I got an email, automated email from
Hmm.
AT&T that this is the particular internship we have opened. So I applied right away on that particular day, and then eventually after 2 weeks, I got a call from AT&T.
That is interesting trick. Like, I think it's not many people would do this. They have alerts on LinkedIn, but not necessarily on the career website, because ideally a lot of these companies, for example, even my company, if we have an ATS system, so we have to create a job in the ATS system. That job will first get posted on our own website before it gets posted to all the job portals.
Hmm.
So, and typically all the job portals, which is LinkedIn and Indeed and Google Jobs, they take 24 to 48 hours because it has to go through an approval process of posting it. So ideally your first chance would be on your company's website. So you already did that, and because of that you got the notification, you applied, or it was all plain cold application. Of course, your did you change or customize your resume?
Yes, I did some of the changes during that particular time. Not that much at that gravity, because I had no knowledge in that particular field as such. Because when I came here, so eventually when I got that particular experience of AT&T, then I made those major changes in my resume. But before
Hmm.
that, it was just a standardized. I just knew one thing, that it should be a one-page resume in United States. So I just knew that during that point.
Yeah, got it. Okay, you applied. I have a very strong feeling because you applied the day, the time it got posted, and this is something my recruiter has said. Like they, a lot of ATS sort by oldest to newest. So first few people will get picked ideally first. So that's why you want to apply to the earliest as you
Yes.
can. So in this case, you got selected. You got it picked. In the interview process was an hour and a half, one call. Since it's an internship, was there any technical round or no?
There was a technical round, so they divided this that 1.5 hours into three parts. So all of the half an hours, the first half an hour was completely based on my prior experience in India, which was not
Hmm.
related to telecommunication field, but they did ask me that, and then eventually had gone to the master's journey of that particular first semester which I had studied in NJIT. So I described those particular details in that particular first half hour. Second half hour was technical questions related to the job role. How much you know, how much skills did you gain till now, how much courses did you do. So these are the particular questions that, they ask, and normal basic networking questions like what is TCP/IP and what is internet. Uh,
Hmm.
this is a particular basic questions which they asked to a fresher, and then eventually I got to know about that. The third part I got to know because they told me that in that particular interview itself that behavioral questions will be asked in the final round. I had prepared prior to that because I had a feeling that there won't be any second round because I had researched a little bit about AT&T because that was my dream company. So, and eventually they asked that, and there is another story behind this preparation of this interview. So when I got this particular interview call,
Hmm.
there was a roommate of mine which I told him, like he was working at that time and he had an experience of those interview rounds, how the questions have been asked in general, because he was a coder actually, and I was in from
Hmm.
the telecommunication background.
Hmm.
So when I got that interview call, he told me that now my interview call was actually 4 days after I got an email. So he just told me, don't go outside of the house for 4 days. Just prepare for this particular interview. I will take care of you. Now these are the set of questions. He gave me some behavioral questions, 5 to 6 behavioral questions to prepare. And at that time the AI was not that much popular.
Yeah, it was right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I had to make those scenarios in my mind, like how should I answer this particular question, and he gave me that star
Hmm.
technique, which we know how to crack those behavioral questions. When the interview got started of AT&T and T and the last phase came, they asked me about 7 to 8 behavioral questions in total.
Hmm.
Out of
Hmm.
that, the first 4 questions were exactly the same which I prepared for.
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
actually cracked the interview. I cracked the interview in that 4 particular question itself, because when I got the offer and when I joined the company, my manager told that about this particular behavioral questions that I answered it so well that in the first half only itself we were selected. We were just doing some what we can say is a traditional method to go in the last 4 questions
Hmm.
of the behavioral. So that's how I
Hmm.
got to know that the preparation went well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, shout out to your roommate who kind of helped you. Yeah, who helped you prepare for this. So that's great, and it is so important that I think a lot of internship role is more about will you fit in the team and how are you as a person versus do you have the skills. I mean, you have to have the skills, but you also have to be like a person who will fit in the team as well.
Yes.
So I think behavior questions are all about, like, what would you do if you had a conflict with your team? What would you do if you were given a situation and under pressure? How would you perform that, and so on and so forth. So that's great. Okay, cool. You get the internship done. You It was 3 months internship.
Yes, 3 months internship.
Nice. And then unfortunately it did not convert into full time. uh, Also because you graduated during the worst job market ever,
Yeah.
so that, I can totally understand. And so for now, for your full time, when did you start your job hunt?
So I started my job hunt in January 2023
Hmm.
and I graduated in May 2023. So I decided that 6 months prior to the graduation is the ideal time to start for the job search in this particular market because they want the candidates to join immediately. So it will be a waste of time to just apply 10 months prior to that or 12 months prior to that, to
Mm.
the graduation. So my mindset was very clear that I want to start my job search in Jan 2023. So that's where I got started, and it was a completely traditional method. Again, like just to go over the companies, just search the companies and go over all those career sites, search for the roles, this and that. And then came April month, where I saw your video with Akhil Mehta, and it completely transformed my job search journey. And after
Mm.
that, I gave around 20 to 30 interviews after that till November, through that particular technique which Akhil showed in the podcast.
Wow.
Yes.
We need to let Akhil know. I know you mentioned it, but I didn't know that this many interviews you were able to secure it through that technique. So that is, and I'm so glad that it actually worked and you actually implemented that technique. So I know you're gonna show us some of those live as well, like how it worked for you, right? So can you like talk about like what in the technique worked for you?
So traditionally, where I was looking, what I was looking for to search the companies, go to the career site and apply for the role. But
Mm.
in that particular podcast, she showed that how the template should be set and how you should be straight to the point to the managers and the hiring managers and to the recruiters, that this is what my situation is. I want a job. Is there any position open in your team? Can you help me out? So that's what I followed, because before that April month, I was not getting any calls. And
Mm.
after that, I had to keep a patience. I had to keep patience for 1 month as well before getting my that first call.
First call, yeah.
Yes. So during that, I was just blindly sending those particular templates to the managers. And there is also a way where you can find whom to target those particular individuals. So when you
Mm.
open the profile of a particular hiring manager, you see how it is, how he is often using the LinkedIn profile of his. So when
Mm.
you check that activity in the in his profile, you can see how he is active. If he's active more, then you can approach him. Otherwise, don't approach him. That's
Mm.
what I gained through my experience going forward in my job search, because in the first 2 months I was just blindly sending out these particular personalized invites to with this particular template. But then I realized I have to target those people who are most active on LinkedIn, the managers,
Mm.
the recruiters, and the hiring managers. So
Mm.
it started through Apple interview. So
Oh wow, that is amazing. Before you get into the interview process, uh, can we break it down? So again, in January, you started like looking for full time job. For 4 months, no interviews. You are applying cold application through LinkedIn, through online career website, etc. After that, you watched the video, which is great, and then you started applying that technique of finding the hiring manager for the job that you're seeing and then sending them personalized invite. And
yes,
then you also went a step further where you saw are they active or not, and then you like approached it differently. So can we see like a live demo of like how would
yes,
you do it, and specifically how would you find the people, and then what like kind of messages you were sending, and then
sure.
I know you're gonna show us some examples as well.
Yes, sure. So I would like to show a LinkedIn part where I had targeted Apple interview. I had targeted Apple managers, and I would like to show that. So in this, when you go, the technique which Akhil showed is Apple wireless hiring.
Hmm.
So you go in that, you go in the people section, you see how many directors, how many senior managers have been involved here. So I
Right.
used to search for this particular names, and then had gone to each particular name and seen that activity on LinkedIn. So if I say that, if I go to this particular profile, so I used to see his activity. So he hasn't posted yet, right? So
Hmm.
I don't approach this particular individual at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he's a senior technical recruiter at Apple. He's not active on LinkedIn. So no use of sending personalized invites.
Hmm.
So now when we go to the other person, which is
Yeah, you can go to the Himanshu. I think he's a hiring manager.
Yeah, so when you go that in that particular profile, yeah, so in the past 1 month he has posted something, so
Yeah.
it will be a good opportunity to just message him or
Mm,
send a request. So these are the hints that you need to be aware of, and
mm,
just send that particular personalized invite to them. And after sending those particular connection request, the hiring managers usually said to me that, can you share your resume, just after
mm,
seeing that message, not even a hi. So it
mm,
goes directly to the point that
mm,
I want your resume, I want to see your resume.
mm,
So that's how I used to search for the people for the various companies. This is just an example of Apple.
mm. And so, can you share like what exactly would you send as a messages, and then,
Yes.
um, yeah.
So I will present that particular. So I would like to show an example, like how I got an interview in June. So I would share that.
And this is how you got 20 plus interviews.
Yes, and in the total, I got 30 interviews, and out of that 30 interviews, I interviewed 10 at Apple and 20 in other different companies.
10 at Apple? Oh
Yes,
my gosh, okay. That is, but all of them through this method.
yes, all of them through this method.
Wow, and this is so inspiring, and this is so interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to see like some examples how you approached and how the
So this was
conversation
the
went.
best case scenario. So this is the best case scenario which I came across Apple. So I would like to mention a name. I would like to show you the flow how it worked out. So this is the first message which I sent her on June 2nd, 2023.
Hmm.
This is the template which you would go forward with. So
This is exactly what Akhil also sent. So
yes,
yeah.
I blindly followed him. So it's just I would like to show this. So I just mentioned my degree, looking for full time opportunities and the year, and are there any positions open in your team. You need to mention your field because they will get to know that you are looking for these particular roles in this particular field. So they will
Hmm.
get to know automatically that this is the telecommunication field, so he must be looking for the Wi-Fi engineer opportunity, or a RF engineer opportunity, or a network engineer opportunity.
Hmm.
So I sent her this message at around in night on June 2nd.
Hmm.
Now let's see what happened next.
And yeah, so this is your invitation that you sent it to her,
Yes.
and
Okay. Now this is the same thing which happened 1 hour later, just after sending this message. She herself emailed me, and she told me that, hi Harshit, like I I have a opening in my team. Are you available to discuss?
nice.
So next thing is like, I actually had seen one more opening in another team, but I got to know that this particular name, which is Disha Sakarai, she was working with her, but they are both of the teams are different.
Okay.
So the opening she had was different, which
Hmm.
Gautami had was different. So she told me about all the background which I had. She asked me about it, like what coding language do you know? So I had a foundation language of C, C++, but I had some knowledge of Python. So she also told that in the other team as well, in the Disha's team, she must have an opening as well, and she works with that team as well. Now I told about her. I told about the Python language, and I told about the C++ language, and then she told me about the position which she had in her team. So this is the conversation which she told, that it's a wireless QA position, and you need to have a experience in Python and basic wireless Wi-Fi networking knowledge. So I
Hmm.
told about my background after that, that I have my coursework during my master's in cellular technologies, and I had the basic knowledge of C++, which she said it's like is a plus. Now begin the flow that just send me your resume on this particular email.
Hmm.
That's it. And after that, when I send the resume on this particular email, she scheduled my phone screen.
Mm, nice. Nice. So, and of course, this was 2023 when the market was rough and everyone is like, no one is hiring. So,
Yes,
but like you are like backdoor approaching this. So that's
yes.
amazing.
And
Do you have
also
other
after that,
examples? Huh.
Yes, and also after this, don't hesitate to ask these particular managers what should we prepare for.
Hmm.
So I asked her deliberately that what should I prepare for this particular phone screen. So she told me that just have some basic Python. Uh, it will be a coding interview. Learn about some Python basics, and whatever whiteboard, if you can keep it, just keep it in hand when the interview gets started. So I had to learn around these particular things which she told. And in that particular phone screen, it eventually didn't work out because the manager which came, like, he was a very strict manager, which turned out to be a very strict manager. And after that phone screen, I didn't go ahead with that in that particular interview. But
Hmm.
these are the ways where you can snatch an
But,
interview at least.
so what happened about the other 10, other 9 interviews you had with Apple?
So out of that 9 interviews which I had, uh, I had only cracked one interview, and like I almost cracked that, and I came to the second last round of Apple. But then they have a super day interview kind of thing
Hmm.
where they have 7 to 8 rounds in one single day. So
Hmm.
that turns out to be a final round. So I didn't qualify for that, and I was like laid away before that particular penultimate round. So out of that particular 11 rounds, out of that 10 rounds were through networking, one round was through a referral. That is also a different story. So in that, out of that 10 rounds, 9 rounds I didn't crack it, and I almost cracked it, but in the final round I got out from that. So
Hmm.
these are the particular 11 interviews which I got through this particular networking thing.
Nice. And so you, so was it to the same contact you kept asking for like other interviews, or you reached out to other people in Apple saying like, hey, do you have a position, or like here is a position I'm interested. Here, what did you do?
I reached out to several managers in Apple, and
Mm.
out of that particular managers, some of the managers replied to me. I shared my resume to them, and they literally passed that resume to the recruiters, and recruiters just scheduled the phone screen through that. So this is
Mm.
how it works in Apple. Like, unfortunately, it doesn't work through the career side, and I was lucky because I don't people won't agree to this, but I don't believe in referrals. Referrals are not working in this particular market. You have to do this particular thing in the third way, like you just approach them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn
Mm.
is actually for this, and LinkedIn is not for applying,
Mm.
unfortunately, in this market.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. No, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah, I like it. And I mean, in a way, like referral can be like a big bucket, but in a way, you are like using a referral mechanism, but it's not like that referral person knows you, but he is or she is referring you to the recruiter or for the hiring team. So, but like we can call it like in a way like networking, backdoor hiring. This is what like the strategies are. So this is amazing. Do you have any other examples?
yes, I have one more example which I got an interview through Apple and through a referral.
Hmm.
So I had asked that particular employee of Apple that is, are there any positions still open in your team? Because I had talked to him a lot during my job search, and I had built a kind of relationship with him, and I was just continuously talking with him. So he
Hmm.
knew me. So
Hmm.
when I talked to him, he told that in my team right now there is no opening. And
Hmm.
then in the next day, he messaged me back again. He researched on his own, and he just told me that there is one more opening in Austin, which you are you interested in that? So I told him yes, I am interested, and I would like to show that particular chat as well.
Also, thank you so much for being so like generous and transparent, because this is my, I know your email to me was also about the same thing, that you learned so much from Akhil, now you want to give it back. So this is great.
No problem. So okay, so I asked him in on February 14th this year that are there any position open still. So he said that I don't think there is any hiring happening now. So I just said okay and just left off. On the next day, he messaged me that I came across another team which is hiring. So can you send me your latest resume? So I just sent him. He What he did was he referred me for that position. He also passed on the resume to the recruiter, and
Hmm.
then the recruiter approached me that this particular individual had referred you and we want to schedule a phone screen. So he also asked me, are you on OPT right now? And then all the things which I had learned throughout that particular last year in 2023, I tried to crack in that particular thing in this particular role as well. So phone screen was scheduled, and I eventually cracked 2 rounds. But after that, I was out in that particular process as well. But
Mm.
through this particular method, I would like to say to the people like this method is working. You just need to have some patience for some months, and eventually this method will work.
Mm. Mm. Nice. I love it. Um, this is again amazing. Thank you so much for being transparent and sharing with us. I love it. So obviously Apple didn't happen, and you had like 30 more interviews, or like 20 more interviews. So how did you end up like getting your first like shot and the first job?
Okay, so during that particular phase from April till November where I got the job, I was talking to
Ap-
an Indian.
wait. April till November. You graduated in May.
May, yes.
So then May till November, that's more than 90 days. What did you do?
So I was actually working in a non-profit organization
Ah,
as an
okay,
intern.
got
So
it.
in San Diego, and through that particular 4 month internship, I was working on OPT. Like it was an unpaid internship, but I was working in that particular organization for 4 months, and then
Hmm.
eventually in November I got a job, and it was a
Hmm.
corporate job. So
Yeah.
during that phase from April to November, I was having those conversations with various individuals across various companies. Okay, so I came across an individual which I was just having the normal conversation about my job search, how it is going. One day in around July and August, he blindly called me. He was an Apple employee. He
Hmm.
called me on my phone and he just asked me that how's the job search going, how what are the methods are you applying, what is the progress. So he was taking weekly progress from me, and
Hmm.
after some point of time having 4 to 5 calls, he messaged me on LinkedIn. So those were the references of individuals, and he gave that those individuals, and both of them were managers of a company. And
Hmm.
I emailed them through those particular individuals, and out of that, one individual reverted me back that yes, I am working in this particular company. I have an RF engineer role open in my company. Are you interested in that? So that reference actually worked, and they conducted 2 rounds because it was a very entry level job, RF
Hmm.
as an RF entry level RF engineer.
Hmm.
So 2 rounds were conducted. One was from the manager, and second round was the second and the final round was the senior manager. So that particular 2 rounds were conducted, and eventually I got a job. But that actually is a conglomerate of all those things which I had, that conversations with that particular individual who was from Apple. So
Hmm.
these things just changed the whole scenario of my job search, and it eventually worked out. And this particular individual I had approached with that particular template which I showed earlier. So that
Hmm.
one template can change that job search
Yeah.
of any individual.
Yeah, I think, and also it's more than a template. I think it's the reaching out to the right person, and
Yes,
then being very clear and focused messaging, which is what the template is about. So that's great. I love it. And yeah, it sounds like you reached out to them. They like, hey, reach out to these people, and then you got their email, and then you reached out to them, and that's how you got your first
yes,
offer. That's
yeah.
amazing. Cool. Um, and so did you end up picking that job offer or no?
Yes, I did pick that particular job offer, and it was based in Arizona. So I had to relocate to Arizona in November, and I
Hmm.
did the job there for 5 months as an RF engineer. But when I had gone 1 month into the job, I got to know that this particular company is not sponsoring my H-1B visa
Hmm.
for the first year. So I would
Hmm.
lose that particular chance, and they will eventually sponsor me in 2025. So
Hmm.
I said in my mind, I'm gonna go from here. I'm not gonna stay here. So I'm
Hmm.
gonna again go to the job market, again apply for the jobs. And
Hmm.
then again I started that particular method, sharing those particular templates. I had gone one step ahead, which I was not using beforehand. I was working through the career sites and these particular templates, but now I got to know that I should be working on Indeed as well.
Hmm.
So Indeed is the best tool right now to find the jobs, to find the fresh jobs. As I want
Wow.
to elaborate very clearly that fresh jobs is available on Indeed, not on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is completely obsolete right now. Many people won't agree to me, but this is the reality of present day. So LinkedIn
Right.
is LinkedIn is just used for networking with the people and apply the jobs on career site. But how to find those particular jobs is that LinkedIn is the Indeed tool. So I would
Hmm.
like to show how I used to approach for the particular Indeed jobs.
Hmm.
So let's see that.
Yeah, yeah. And also compliment you. In November, you got this job after 5 months of hard work, right? Like, you graduated, you're like unpaid, you're not making money, right? And you got this full-time job opportunity. Then within first month, they are like, you are like, hey, H1B, what are you gonna do? And they are like, nope, we're not gonna sponsor this year, we might sponsor next year. At this point, most people, I guarantee you, most people will be like, it's fine, I have a job, I don't want to do the job search again, I'm just gonna be in my comfort zone and let it go. And like next year they are anyway gonna do it, or they promised me, who knows, they might not do it. And but in your case, you are like, no, I'm not gonna give up. I know it's January, and I know it's like going to be only 2 months before the next like the lottery system starts. You didn't give up, you kept going. Like, what like inspired you to just keep going, and not be like, I have like worked so hard, I don't want to do another job search?
So knowing your goal is very utmost important right now, because
Hmm.
in United States, first thing and very important thing is to maintain your status. So how much more years you can gain in this United States, that should be your motto. So H1B gives you 6 years, but OPT gives you only 2 years, and after the first year gets completed, so that won't make any difference to your career as well. And after your H1B gets approved, you have a shot at a green card as well, green card processes. So you have to have a clear mind, and also focus on what is in your hands. So in my hands, there was only one thing: to do job search again, find a company which sponsors me and gives me a good particular role which advances my career forward. So this is how I focused, and this is how my dedication went
but,
ahead.
but like, again, the full-time job, you had it, right? And finding another job is almost like a full-time job, because you are also like do like every night. I guarantee you probably came home and just like, I like back on the Indeed, finding the hiring managers, messaging them, figuring out. So uh, you were determined. I think that is the good quality you have, that is the secret sauce of yours. Like, you didn't give up, like you were persistent, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna keep going. And you were like, I it's not in my control to see if I will get it or not before the lottery, but what is in my control is applying and getting a job offer, and then we'll figure it out. So that's, I commendable. I appreciate like, your story, and I like your transparency. So great. Let's look at the Indeed tactic that you are doing, and this is again very surprising to me as well when you say like, Indeed, you have some cool techniques for Indeed. I want to see myself, like, what are these?
First and foremost, which I started, was to dig in the cities across the United States. So I I kept a template of mine. I kept a method that I would target a particular state in one day and go through all those cities in that particular state.
That is amazing. Okay.
So
Okay.
what I used to do is, let's say Colorado. So I used to just zoom it and see all the cities which are present in that, and most
Hmm.
popular cities first. So there is Denver, there is Colorado Springs, there is Aurora, there is Boulder. So out of that, first I selected Denver. So I go to the Indeed page. I select Denver, comma Colorado, and in that I would write like network engineer. So when you search that, you will find a 244 jobs for that. But you have to apply the filters as well. So go across 100 miles across Denver. Date posted should be 14 days, last 14 days, and that would be it. So you have 122 jobs in this particular location itself.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that would increase your applications per day.
Hmm.
So that's what I targeted eventually when I got my first job and I was looking for the second job. So I used to see all those companies, and when I see a particular company that this is the first company, I used to enter this company in LinkedIn to check the authenticity of the company. Is it a
Hmm.
consultancy? Is it a company as of a like authenticated company? And if it is
Yeah.
authenticated company, I go to the career site of that company and then apply for this particular job. I don't
Hmm.
apply through Indeed. Indeed is just a search tool for me.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
And then I go eventually to the career side and apply for the jobs. So these are the two filters which you need to be aware of. And most people here write United States. That won't
Hmm.
work. In United States, there are only 12,000 jobs. No, this is not the reality. So United States won't work. You have to confine your job search in particular city. So one day I just applied Colorado Springs. So I just searched for that, and related to this particular job search as well, job role as well.
Hmm.
The algorithm came across the RF engineer role as well. So through that, I got to know about my current company, which is Underline, and I applied to the career site for that particular job role, and then eventually I got the call. So this is how the flow goes through the Indeed. So first you go to the US map, go for the cities, target the cities, go to
Uh,
Indeed, search
and
for that particular companies in this particular city, and then you go to LinkedIn, search that authentication of that particular company, and then you go to the career site and apply.
Hmm. We let's walk through one of the companies, but before that, you were in Arizona,
Yes,
Tempe. Sorry, where were you in Tempe or
yes,
Phoenix?
I was in Tempe.
Okay, you were in Arizona, and but you are like, I don't care where I am at. I'm gonna look at entire United States and figure out the job. So you were not worried about the proximity of your location, because people say when choosing the university, the location is so important. In this case, in this scenario, it doesn't look like location is important, because you're like randomly looking at different state and different cities. So
Yes,
and you in fact got a Colorado Spring, which was like 500,000 miles far from where you are living
yes.
in Arizona. So would you agree that location was not as big of an important factor?
No, yeah. So that's what I was trying to say, that location is not important. Like having a job is important first. So
Hmm.
even after getting a job, you can anytime change the job. So
So let's walk through one of the example, right? Like you are in, maybe let's do Austin, Texas, because
okay,
why not?
yeah,
It's one of the mini Silicon Valley for people who don't know. It's becoming one of the mini Silicon Valley. All
yes,
right, 100 miles. You are going to do 14 days, and then it's gonna 91 jobs. Okay,
yes, 91 jobs.
and
So I would like to go to the this particular company, Lower Colorado River Authority. So it is just posted one day ago. So this
mm,
job is very fresh. So you have to apply right away.
mm,
So this particular job, I would like to first go to LinkedIn and check the authenticity of this particular company. Is this a consultancy or a established industry? So
mm.
let's say you go to Lower Colorado. When you go to
Yeah,
this particular company,
yeah.
you can see it is a utilities company, industry is utilities, so you can apply to this particular job. So that's how I went through my flow, and then you go to the about section, go to the career side of this particular organization and just apply for the particular job. So you go in the career section and job openings,
Mm,
and then you can apply this particular job which we just saw, senior network system engineer.
mm.
So now you apply for the job.
So you
That's
don't use LinkedIn or Indeed to apply. So you use obviously. Indeed to find the job,
Yes.
LinkedIn to validate the authenticity and find hiring managers and recruiters, sending them those messages,
Yes.
and then you ultimately go to the careers page of the company's website and apply there.
Yes.
And the overall first step is to go to United States Met and start looking at the city
Yes.
and that is amazing, cool. And so that is how you got the call for your current company, and
Yes.
then you got it. So there was no once again. So in that process, you did not reach out to hiring manager or anything. You just plainly applied, and they liked your resume, and they said like,
Yes.
okay, we okay.
Yes, because in the last year in July, I made a major change in my resume, and
Mm,
after that point of time, I was very confident in my resume. So that particular reaching out to the managers were completely decreased after I got my first job. But through this particular way as well, I got a call, and four
mm,
rounds were conducted. And
mm,
first round was through the manager first, the network lead, and the second round was for the hiring manager, and the third round was just a namesake of round of recruiters, that we want to schedule a fourth round, and this is what it will be of particular this is what it will be asked by the senior manager, senior director. The
mm,
final round was conducted by the senior network engineer. So, and at that point of time, I was just waiting for the result, because it was the last week of the H1B lottery applications deadline. And at that point also, my Motorola interview was also was scheduled at that point. So
mm,
what happened was, I gave the final round of Motorola as well, but Motorola didn't give me the decision, and the deadline got passed. But
mm,
in that particular week, I got the offer of Underline, and then said yes to Underline because they were sponsoring my H1B visa. So before negotiating any offers or something, I just said yes. And I just said second step is just first apply in the H1B lottery first, and then we'll discuss the salary part, and then we'll go ahead. So that's what I did. And then eventually Motorola, I got rejected because I already told them that I have moved on with the other company. So that's why I registered in the lottery. I got picked in the lottery.
mm,
So
mm.
that's how I accomplished my goal of not to lose a chance of H1B lottery.
And you got picked in lottery.
Yes.
That is amazing. Such a powerful story. I love it. Um, and you said negotiating. So you negotiated even after the H1B part, like because you're like, I don't care right now, just apply for H1B, and then we'll negotiate. So then you negotiated that too.
Yes. So the salary range for that particular job was around 85 to 95. So they pitched me $90,000 at that point. But I told during that negotiating part that I have some experience in RF engineering. I have did my network engineering internship at AT&T as well. So my profile looks great, and my knowledge will align with this particular role. So I want a six figures. So then they pitched their amount, and then I agreed to that particular amount, and then the whole compensation got closed, and then I got the job.
So cool. I love it. That is such a I love the confidence as well, because you were like on the verge of losing, like, H1B option, but you were like, you holded your ground, you were confident. And I like how confidently you said, because in reality the only experience you had was the 3 month of AT&T experience, and that 5 months or so of your first full-time job offer,
Yes.
right? So but you're like, I have experience, and I deserve six-figure salary,
Yes.
and you like go went for it. My recruiter always says, we because recruiters, we give budget to recruiters, that here is the salary range. For example, I'm a hiring manager, so I can speak from that. I tell my recruiter that uh, the lower end, like, you can start from 120, for example. I'm talking about senior product manager in my company, right? And then it can go up to like $160, 160K. So recruiters will like be fair based on the experience, but will always start like 130. And then, because they also know that someone will counter back, so they have that leeway room of
Yes.
like going 10%, 20% above than what was offered. So I am happy that you actually did that. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing. You said you made some changes, significant changes. Like, can we see your resume to see
Yeah,
like
sure.
what changes you made?
So this some of the changes were advised by an Apple employee as well, where I was having multiple conversation with multiple people in Apple, and
Hmm.
one of the person just advised me to make that subtle change, and
Hmm.
that also helped me because in interviews they ask regarding that particular change as well, and it was a very minimal change which I was not aware about, and then I eventually it worked for me. So I would mention that particular things which are aligning with this particular job roles. So I had
Hmm.
prepared two resumes because my field is categorized into two fields, which is network engineering and the cellular engineering. And in that
Hmm.
cellular engineering, RF engineering comes out. So I had to prepare this particular for the cellular engineering, and I had mentioned only those particular courses which aligns with that particular field.
Hmm.
So these are the courses which I had been mentioned, which I studied through my coursework in NJIT. And through other than that, the major change which I did was in the job descriptions to enter the numeric values, like how much impact did I did in the company, how the terminologies and what are the skill set which I gained, and what are the technologies which I worked on. So these are the first let's say an example of my first job, which is division 27. So I worked on the DAS and the small cell network. So this is actually the distributed antenna systems technology which I worked
Hmm.
on. So people only ask those particular questions in the interview which you have highlighted,
Hmm.
which I want to emphasize on, because these are the things which they only care about these particular things. Because if you don't highlight those particular terms, they won't be able to ask you the relevant questions, and you also need to prepare around those lines as well, and how the LT works, how the RF performance evaluation works, and how the DAS technology you worked upon and how it impacted the company. So this is what the small things which I made a change in July as well. And the the format of that, so all these particular formats I cared about of that, and as well the CGPA should be written here,
Hmm.
and for the
Hmm.
relevant coursework, just to be in the eyes of the recruiter or the manager, just have that one cursor ahead. Because if you put it in the line of this particular degrees, they won't care to see that. But if you see
Hmm.
that subtle change here, so they will read that particular thing when they see the resume, if you have that different flavor to that particular relevant coursework field. So this is what I cared about. And also the technical skills also I highlighted those, because they asked me only Python questions, because I highlighted Python. They didn't
Hmm.
ask me the questions related to Java, C, C++. I had the basic knowledge, but I was very proficient in Python. So they asked me that particular questions, and I was prepared for that. Because
Hmm.
I highlighted that Python word, that's why they asked questions related to that. So these are the things which, in general, every person should be taking care of in various fields, not just in my field. So I mentioned about the AT&T experience as well, the unpaid internship which I worked on in San
Hmm.
Diego. So and also one more thing, which is have that concise mentality, that keep the job description very concise and to the point, and not write more big points, and points should be of only two lines and not three lines.
Hmm.
So that should be the motto going ahead for the job seekers which are currently in the market, and show those particular projects which you are very proficient in, and you have the 100% knowledge of. So I had done a research in my NJIT during my last semester, which was Wi-Fi operations with 5G, where I worked on the 5G on the aliases band technology, and I want to share that particular technology to the managers, to the recruiters. So I mentioned only that particular projects in my resume. Other than that, the other projects which you want to mention it in LinkedIn while building your
Hmm.
profile in LinkedIn. But don't gather all the projects at one page, because you just have only one page limitation in United States. So you have to make sure that you have that particular concise method to build the resume. So
Hmm.
this is what I had built about my work experience and academic projects mainly. And eventually after some point of time I will remove this particular field where it is mentioned of the undergrad job and undergrad study, so I can also allot my recent job right now which I'm working on, which is at underline. So
Yeah, I mean, I would 100%, like, now that you worked on it, I would 100% move work experience on the top, move education at the very bottom, and then I
yes.
would do like work experience, skills, projects, and then education, because now education for you is obsolete, right? Like
Yes.
you've moved past it, you have like now industry experience, so nobody cares what education you have.
Yeah.
So amazing. Is there any other advice or tips would you give to aspiring job seekers?
Right now I just want to say one thing to the job seekers, that don't be impatient in this market, because yes, the situation is very dire right now, but if you follow one method, just trust that method. Because I have seen many individuals in during my conversations with my friends as well, they get impatient if they don't get a call or they don't get reverted back, because I shared to multiple friends about this particular template which you should send to the hiring managers on LinkedIn. So they applied it, and they after 2 or 3 weeks they just get impatient that they are not reverting me back. I kept patience for 2 months, and then eventually the flow started.
Hmm.
So I had that particular patience, you should have as well. So, and also just keep going. There is a lot of job opportunities in the United States. Just don't settle for small things like OPT. Just go for the bigger game, which is H1B. So people just sit and they just say that they are not sponsoring, I will apply for the next year. So I would like to say that keep going, have that dedication, and you will then you will have that particular satisfaction that yes, I came out to be good.
Yeah, and watch my videos, because see, my video changed
Yes.
Harshit's whole job search strategy. No, just
Yes.
kidding. But this is amazing. Thank you so much. I loved it. Loved your transparency. Loved your energy. I will bring you back. I can't wait to bring you back. So I know we are gonna be talking more. And again, can't wait to bring you back until our next one.
Keep smiling, keep hustling.